Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to Adam's Fishing. You can see behind me the swim that I've chosen for this session. It wasn't, if I'm honest, where I had in mind. I'm here for the night, which is great, so I had planned to fish a little bit further down the lake, but there's somebody already there, set up, a couple of people actually, so I'm more sort of like halfway down this particular lake, which isn't very big anyway, and I've got a nice little patch of water in front of me anyway, and I've seen a swirl or two out there, so the carp are moving around, so there's every chance. Just got to keep it crossed that I can wangle out a couple of the bigger ones. That'd be absolutely brilliant. Well, with the stresses of life in general, today is as much about having a relaxing time as it is about catching the fish, to be honest. Although I would really love to catch a couple. So I'm not going to rush like a mad thing to get set up. It's only 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm here through until tomorrow morning. So time at the moment, for once, is on my side. I've got my rod pod with me. I didn't really need the rod pod, to be honest, but it just happened to be in this big bag that I picked up as I left the shed today. So I'm going to set my rod pod up and then get a couple of rods out and decide what I'm going to be doing with regard to where I'm going to be casting. I have brought the floater gear as well. I know I'm sort of like banging the same drum over and over again since I've discovered or rediscovered floater fishing. But I couldn't come down and not bring it, especially when the weather is nice as it is today. So yeah, if it looks like it's going to do the business, I may well just get the floater rod out before settling down for the evening with a couple of rods on the deck, or a couple of baits on the deck, I should say. So anyway, rod pod first, then some rods out of the bag, and then assess the situation. All right then guys, well I may not be fishing on the deck straight away, but I would like to work out where those rods are going to be positioned for later on in the evening. So I think before I start thinking about floater fishing or even contemplating that, I'm going to sort out where those spots are, and maybe put some bait out as well, just for the fish to have a bit of a munch on without any lines in the water fishing for them straight away. So in my bag here, I've got everything I need for the night ahead, hopefully, although I always seem to manage to forget something. In particular, I've got my tackle box, and in there I've got a couple of leads. So just starting with some leads to start with, and I've got a little bit of marker elastic. I can have a couple of casts with these, work out exactly where I'm going to be presenting my bait later on this evening, and then I know it's all sorted. Okay guys, let me just show you what the plan of action is for my bottom baits later on. I've got a Corda hybrid quick change lead clip there, obviously a tail rubber, and then a decent length of the dark matter heavy tubing there. What I'm going to do to start with is just nip on a lead like so, just moisten that just in case I forget to later on. And then I'm going to have a cast or two with this just to get my distance right and check that there's some clean areas for me to put a bit of bait out. Okay, well, I'm a little bit limited as to where I can cast in this swim because of some overhanging trees, and I mean in terms of the direction that I can cast. So I think what I'm going to do is walk out my second rod to exactly the same distance as the first rod and just fish both to pretty much the same spot that I found there, which is a little bit silty, but other than that, nice and clear, and not that deep. It's probably only 4 feet deep, I think, from what I can tell. But hopefully that'll be deep enough. So I'm going to walk this one out and mark the line the same way that I have the first rod. Okay then, well, both rods are clipped up now. I think what I'm going to do is just have one more cast with one of the rods, just so I can pinpoint where I'm going to catapult out some free offerings. And as I say, not fish for them straight away, actually. I'm just enjoy my time by the lake, really, and consider my floater fishing options as well, before necessarily casting in for the bottom baits. But I don't know, I may change my mind. Anyway, what I'm going to be fishing with is boilies. No surprise there. I use one of these tracker, I think they're 12.5 litre buckets. It's, I think, really good. It's got this separate compartment in the top which I keep my little mesh bags in, keeps it nice and dry. And then in here I've got a right old mixture of candy nut crush, squid and krill, and there's even some coconut creams in there as well, so a bit of a mixed bag here. I'm pleased to say that the fish this time of year on this lake, usually, keeping everything crossed, aren't that fussy. So I'm going to put a few handfuls in my little collapsible bucket here. And I'm going to give them a bit of a drenching with some of the stinky krill liquid. And I'm going to put out some to start with, not loads. See how the bird life reacts, because if they start diving all over it, I might have to rethink how I get the bait out there. You can see they go all nice and glossy. These are the ones that I'm going to be catapulting out in just a moment. Right, let's have a little wander and see what I can see. Well guys, after a bit of a wander around for about 20 minutes, half an hour, I didn't really see anything that made me particularly excited about getting the floater rod out. So I thought I'd come back into my own swim, set up my shelter for the evening, and actually while I was doing that, which took me about 10 or 20 minutes of faffing, I noticed there were definitely signs of activity out on that baited spot now. So I'd be mad not to fish for them, I think. So I'm going to get myself tackled up and cast out and actually fishing on those spots and see if I can't snag a carp or two. It'd be absolutely brilliant if I can. The odds are in my favour, the weather's right. Just heard a fish crash out. They're moving about out there. So I ought to be able to catch one, but I don't want to speak too soon. I'm going to actually have to make it happen before I can relax. So rigs wise, got my barbless rig wallet here because barbless rules on this lake. And I'm going to be fishing a couple of my old favourite, the Snowman rig. And just in case you haven't watched before, I'm sure anyone who has watched before will have seen it already, but it looks a little bit like this. It's about 10 inches of coated braid. In this case, this is the quarter end trap semi-stiff. I tie a figure 8 loop in this end and there's a anti-tangle sleeve there, just stripped back before the hook, and I've got for this one a size 8 barbless Nash Fang X hook, nice curve pattern there, and a pretty long hair which accommodates a whole bottom bait and a little 10mm pop-up on top of it. So I'm going to thread those on now and I'll show you how it looks afterwards. Alright guys, so what I've done is I've baited up 4 rigs, might be a little bit overly optimistic, but 4 just like this. That's a 15mm bottom bait and a little, I think it's actually a 12mm pop-up, but it balances out quite nicely in the water. And what I'm going to do with this one is just thread on a little mesh PVA bag just to avoid tangles, because with that long hair these are sometimes prone to tangling, so just to eliminate that, the hair wrapping around the hook or something, just thread on one of these little mesh bag that I tied at the weekend, and I can just literally pull the hook point into that bag, and then there's no chance of anything tangling up there, which is great. I do of course need to thread back on my anti-tangle sleeve, and then it'll be ready to go. I'll give that one a little dunk in the glug before I cast it out as well. What I've done with the remaining few rigs that I've tied up ready to go is I've just left them soaking in that glug, because I've noticed these Nash instant action boilies have a bit of a tendency to dry out quite quickly and then crack, and then worst case scenario fall off. So we don't want that happening, so I'll try and keep them moist. Hope I could have used a better word there, but that's the one that came to mind. And then that shouldn't happen. So yeah, I'm going to get this one cast out and the other one, and then maybe have a little bit of a chill out and a cup of tea. I'm fishing. It's just come to my attention that I did not pack a mug for this trip, so I have the necessary components to make tea, but no mug. So I'm going to make a nice saucepan of tea. I won't fill it right up. Have a drink and see what happens. Rods have been in the water now for about 15-20 minutes. and I've already had a liner on the right hand rod, so I'm really hopeful that I can get a proper bite soon and connect to a decent carp. Wouldn't that be great? While I'm waiting though, steady my nerves, make myself a cuppa. Alright guys, well apart from a couple of little bleeps, nothing happening on the deck at the moment, but whilst I was there drinking my pan of tea, I did notice a few fish cruising on the surface or just underneath. So I've reeled in both rods. You can see the baits are hanging from the butt rings there, I'm not cheating. And I'm going to catapult in some pellets. I've already catapulted a few in and some mouths have come up, and see if I can snag one off the surface just to get the ball rolling. There we go then guys, it wasn't as easy as I'd hoped, but eventually I've snagged this little common off the surface. Lovely little fish, probably only £6, something like that, but brilliant to get me off the mark. I'm going to slip this one back and see if I can't replace it with one maybe twice the size would be good. I'm going to carry on fishing off the surface for a while because it's good fun and the conditions seem good for it at the moment, but then I need to start thinking about getting ready for the evening ahead. Brilliant to be off the mark though. Nice little common. Well guys, it's now 7 o'clock and I've managed this one more off of the top. Another little scrappy common, but great to catch him that way all the same. I think this was my cut-off point to start getting ready for the evening ahead. So I'm going to slip this one back and then start getting the bottom bait rods ready to rock and roll. Great to be catching them though. There's a bird screeching in the tree so loudly. I thought I'd wait for him to stop. Oh, he's off again. Anyway, I'm all set for the evening now. The surface fishing rod has gone away. Well, I've just let it up against the fence actually, because I might use it again tomorrow morning if I'm scratching for bites. I'm really hoping I can get in amongst the bigger fish by fishing on the deck this evening. I'm really hoping that as it cools off and as it starts to get dark, they'll come down out of the upper layers and start feeding on that bait that I've put out there. I've catapulted out a bit of fresh bait, not as much as I started with, just a bit of a top up I suppose. If the fish were even feeding on it in the first place, I didn't want to go too mad. So yeah, there's definitely some bait out there on the deck, along with my rigs, which actually I cast out twice because I just wasn't happy with my first attempt. Just had an absolutely savage liner on the left-hand rod. So hopefully that means there are fish moving around down there. I'm going to leave it alone for now anyway. I think I've disturbed the swim enough by casting basically 4 times, because I did both rods twice. But yeah, they're out there now. I decided to change my my bait combination as well. I was going with the krill flavour, but I've switched back to the Candy Nut Crush with the little manila pop-up, because actually, as I thought about it, as I was reeling in those dodgy casts, I thought I've probably had more success on that bait than I have on the krill. So yeah, decided to change it over and cast them out fresh. So that's done. I'm now going to actually relax for a while, because you know, a big part of coming fishing should be relaxing, I think anyway. Definitely I need it, and I haven't really relaxed this session. I've been on the go the whole time, which is not what I had intended to do. So now I've got some static rods, the alarms are doing the work for me, and I can make myself a nice pan of tea. There you go then guys, a proper one at last. Caught off the deck on one of those snowman rigs. Perhaps not the double figure fish I was hoping for, but a really cool scale pattern on this one. Perfect looking fish, great mouth on it, much better condition than the ones I had off the top, and brilliant to get a mirror carp. I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with that actually. On an evening like tonight, couldn't be better. Well, maybe if it was a bit bigger, but there's time. Unfortunately, I'm going to now have to reel in my other rod and set it to one side, because I've left my phone charger in the car, so I need to walk up the hill, get my charger and then come back again. Absolute magic. One last little flap and I'll send this one back to where she came from. Put up a hell of a fight as well with that tail. Awesome. Alright guys, I'm back. Oh, little bleep on the left-hander there. Just a liner, I think. Yeah, so I've recast both rods, which I think I caught just as the light was dying on video. I catapulted out a little bit more bait, and now I've got my phone charging up, which is great. So I went back to the car and got my phone charger, so that's all sorted now. And I think it's about time I changed that shorts and t-shirt into something a little bit more sensible, because the mosquitoes have started to try to eat me alive. So yeah, I'm going to get changed out of this shorts and t-shirt and into a proper pair of trousers and a top, and then see if I can't catch another one. Wouldn't that be great? So cool to be out here again though. I really missed fishing overnighters. I really miss it when I'm you know, when I'm unable to. So it's really good to have the opportunity to get out. It's a midweek one, this one. It's a Tuesday evening, and I've got tomorrow off work, booked tomorrow off work, so that I can spend a bit of time with the family, because obviously it's the school holidays at the moment as well. There's now 3 other anglers on the lake. Bleep on the right hand rod this time. 3 other anglers on the lake, and I don't think any of them are planning to spend the night from the looks of things, so I think I have the place to myself in the not too distant future, because it's starting to get dark now. So anyway, enough rabbiting. I'm going to get changed, and I might even make myself another saucepan of tea. Lovely. Well, I am sorry to say that in this part of the film I forgot to take my phone off of time-lapse mode. What I'm trying to tell you here is I just lost a fish while I was recording that sunset. Making myself a quick cup of tea again, and then what seems to be quite a lengthy chat with you in the brolly, but I can't remember what I was talking about. One of the things I think was there's talk of some larger fish in this lake. One pretty credible story about 18-pound common coming out, which I'm really hopeful of one day catching. But other than that, I'm not really sure what I was rambling about here. Anyway, after this part of the film, I think I realised what I was doing wrong, and start filming at normal speed again. So normal service should resume in just a moment. Just thought I'd show you that moon before I turn in for the night. I don't think I've seen it quite so bright before. Awesome. Dead still now on the last one here. The other anglers have gone for the night. So just going to turn in and hope that I'm rudely interrupted by a nice fat carp. Well then guys, it's now 10:30 and I've just caught this common carp of about probably 8 or 9 pounds, I would say. Put up a really good scrap, actually tangled my other line, so I'm going to have to redo both rods, but it was a welcome distraction from my little Netflix binge, so excellent to catch another one. Not the 18-pound common I was hoping for, but it's going in the right direction. And it's another fish on the mat. Superb. Slip this beauty back and then redo both rods, and then back in the brolly. Absolutely magic. The moon is absolutely huge tonight, and it's so bright when it comes out from behind the clouds. Magical evening, or night I should say. Anyway, let's get this fella back. There we go then guys, it's now 11 o'clock, and it was the other rod this time, the right hand one, that rattled off and resulted in this lovely plump common carp. I love seeing a common carp with a bit of a belly on it in good condition like this one. Really excellent to have caught him. I did weigh him because I thought he had this little gut on him, and I thought he might have breached the 10-pound barrier, but it was only just 8 pounds. So 8-pounder, but hey, I'm not complaining. A lovely fish all the same. Fantastic. If I can catch one twice this size though, I'll be really happy. Lovely. Let's get him back and get back in the brolly. Superb. It's now 11:30, and would you believe it, another common carp. Hope I can get amongst the bigger ones at some point, but I'm going to redo both rods and see what happens, and then probably, depending on what happens, I might even reel in after the next couple of fish and get some shut-eye, because I think it's going to be pretty thick and fast action now. They seem to be coming every 20 minutes, half an hour. I think they've definitely found my bait, but yeah, as I say, not getting amongst the big ones at the moment. Just hoping in the next couple of bites that will happen. Nice to catch another one though. Well, good morning everyone. It's just gone 6 AM and it was an eventful night. So since I last checked in with you, I had another 2 commons, one on each rod. Redid them both, and then within a matter of minutes, can't have been more than 5 minutes of casting out both rods again, I had another common. And all of these commons were a similar stamp, similar sort of size fish that we'd had already, that we'd seen already. And then this must have taken me up till about, I don't know, I sort of lost track, to be honest. I was really tired. I think this must have taken me up till about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And in the end, I decided to just leave the one remaining rod out, which was my my right hand rod. Just leave that out and not recast the rod that had just gone with another common. And it was probably about half an hour ago, 40 minutes ago, something like that. It just absolutely melted off, and I connected to what I immediately knew was a better fish, which was had my heart in my mouth, because I was thinking, oh come on, please stay on, please stay on. And it did. It fought really hard, insofar as it just kited from the sort of distance I was fishing round to the right and underneath some sort of bushes and stuff that were on my right hand side. So in the end, I had to have the rod tip in the water trying to play the fish underneath these bushes, and it got held up there for a moment or two, but thankfully came free. And eventually I slid the net under it, and I could see it was a better fish. Now I'm talking about it like it's a 40-pounder here. It's not. I've weighed it, and it's just over 11 pounds. It's a mirror, and it's just resting in the margins there at the moment. I was just waiting for the light to improve slightly so that I could take a photograph and film it for you guys. So I'm actually pretty much packed away, apart from the brolly and various bits and pieces. So I am actually ready to shoot off as soon as I've shown you this fish. Really, like I say, I want to get back and spend a bit of time with the family today, although I am shattered, so maybe I'll have a quick cat nap as well. So let's get this fish in and show you it's a nice one. Well then guys, what about that for a lovely chunky mirror carp to end my session? £11, about 2 ounces. Absolutely beautiful. What a lovely condition fish. Really dark colours along its back, sparse scales, awesome fight. Absolutely made up with it, I really am. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I'll show you the other side of this one. So nice to catch a proper one. Had to catch a few smaller ones first, but I got there in the end. Really delighted. If you've joined me for this whole session, thanks so much. And hopefully I'll catch you out on the bank again soon. Cheers.